We were on the air now?
Yeah, we were.
Oh, shit.
You love pissing him off.
Eric just walked out of here shaking his head.
Harumph.
You got to understand something. My dear friend Eric Loughlass, who is in the talent relations department here, music and talent, he and I have known each other for well over 20 years. And we worked together for a while at VH1 Classic when I was before that metal show. The irony is that Eric is a huge rock fan as well and a good friend. And then we worked together for years when I was just doing the VJ interview stuff there. And then when that metal show came on, he was let go with a million other people over there because they did a house cleaning. And he never worked with me on that metal show. And then I get the gig over here, and he's looking for a gig, and I help him get the gig here. And so point being is I can always bust balls with him. We have a long, long friendship and history. But he just walked out looking at his phone, shaking his head, and just disgust that I did that. Hey, if you don't stir the pot a little bit, you know, what fun is it?
Exactly.
I learned that from my hero down the hall there with his own private quarter of the floor, Mr. Stern. So, all right. Ed, as usual, coming off of a weekend, much to discuss. In rock news, let's get to it.
Well, I hate to bring down the room collectively, but some serious matters to discuss right here. In a statement released today by one Mr. Dave Mustaine of Megadeth, he has revealed he has been diagnosed with throat cancer. I have his statement in full, posted this morning to his social media and Megadeth.com. Quote, "I've been diagnosed with throat cancer. It's clearly something to be respected and faced head-on, but I've faced obstacles before. I've worked closely with my doctors, and we've mapped out a treatment plan which they feel has a 90% success rate. Treatment has already begun. Now, unfortunately," he says, "this requires that we cancel most shows this year. The 2019 Mega Cruise will happen, and the band will be a part of it in some form. All up-to-date information will be at Megadeth.com as we get it. Megadeth will be back on the road ASAP." He goes on to say, "Meanwhile, Kiko, David, Dirk, and I are in the studio working on the follow-up to Dystopia, which I can't wait for everyone to hear. I'm so thankful for my whole team, family, doctors, band members, trainers, and more. I'll keep everyone posted. See you soon, Dave Mustaine."
Well, first and foremost, I just learned this news a couple hours ago. I'm not sure when this release hit. Probably not long before that, I would think.
This morning, yeah.
This morning. So I was on my drive in from Jersey to New York City, and that's when my phone started going about this story. The first I heard about it, above and beyond anything, we offer nothing but the best for to Dave, who is a friend and who I've known for decades, for a very, very speedy recovery, and that he does whatever he needs to do to get well. That is above and beyond everything. It's sounding like, here we are already in the middle of June, that, needless to say, treatment starting already, probably going to be zapped of a lot of energy here, and his focus rightfully should be on just doing whatever he has to do to get well, and that shows are going to be a back burner thing. Many people have asked me about the status of the Megadeth cruise, the first ever cruise branded with Megadeth, the Mega Cruise, which I am on board and going to be doing this show from and be one of the hosts on. And Dave, where it stands now, and I contacted my friend Larry Morant, who is producing the cruise, to see if he had any updated information. And right now, where we are today, and of course this can change, and we hope it does for the better, but the plan is, as Dave alluded to in that statement, for Dave to maybe be a part of the cruise and be on board the cruise, whether when we get to October when the cruise sails, if he will be able to perform and if he will be able to sing, that remains a question mark. If he feels well enough to play, at that point, if the bulk of his treatments are done and he's feeling better and things are going the right way, he should conceivably be able to play guitar if he's on the ship, you would hope. The real question, since the cancer he is dealing with is throat cancer, obviously comes into play with his voice and the ability to sing. And that's the really, above and beyond just knocking this out and beating this, I think for Dave, that's probably the biggest concern, because obviously he is the singer in Megadeth. And having throat cancer can obviously take a very, very major toll on your voice, even just as far as a speaking voice. If you've ever spoken to Tom Hamilton of Aerosmith, who battled throat stuff and throat cancer and what have you, he can barely, he whispers when he talks because of the treatments and things that have happened to his throat, curing him of his issues. Now, Tom obviously just plays bass in Aerosmith. He's not the singer, so he's out there doing it, and it's fine. But obviously, when you're dealing with a guy who also makes his living singing in the band that he's in, that is a huge concern. So hoping for nothing but the best for Dave Mustaine, and hoping that, hey, who knows? If he's already getting treatment, and here we are in June, and things go the right way for him, maybe by the time the cruise rolls around in October, he can be a full go. I don't know. We don't know how severe this is. We don't know what stage it's in. We don't know the timetable for the recovery. Above and beyond everything is that there is a recovery, and we'll see how it goes as we go. But I'll tell you one other thing about the cruise, is that it was already stacked above and beyond Megadeth. I understand it's Dave's cruise and it's branded the Mega Cruise, and it's the first one, and it's going to be awesome. But it was already stacked in addition to Megadeth. I mean, Anthrax and Testament and Overkill and John 5 and on and on and on, of all these acts that are on there and still playing. So as far as a classic metal cruise, this is still going to be a tremendous experience. And what you're getting from this release as well is that the other three members of Megadeth will absolutely be on there. And this is all hypotheticals, because we just don't know what's going to happen. It's too early yet. But say Dave can play but isn't able to sing. There's enough people and enough metal all-stars on board that ship that you could have a scenario where there's some different guest singers with Megadeth still playing, including Dave playing guitar. So there's a lot of variables here that can happen. And it could make for a really, really, special moment and some pretty cool, unique things. I remember the Def Leppard cruise, which only happened one time, but I was on board for that as a host. And, that had some, tragedy on, with Jimmy Bain dying on it and some weather issues and what have you. And then Joe Elliott lost his voice. And Joe Elliott, and that was an unplanned thing. But man, I will never forget that, being on that ship. And the night Def Leppard was going to play, they were in the theater sound checking, and one of their crew guys comes running out and says, "Eddie, come in. Joe wants to talk to you." And Joe Elliott, I walk in and the band's playing, and Joe Elliott is standing in the wings, and he sees me, waves me over, and he asks me, "Do you know anybody on board that can sing Def Leppard songs?" And I was like, "Joe, it's the Def Leppard cruise, you." And he goes, "I can't, mate, lost my voice." So what ended up happening is there were other artists on that cruise, and I went around and others went around and wrangled them to be guest singers with Def Leppard. Now, look, obviously you go see Def Leppard, I'm not going to lie, you want to see Joe Elliott singing. But what they ended up doing in that situation was really cool, because Joe had me introduce him. He said a few words to the crowd, told everybody what was going on. They gave tickets to a Def Leppard show to everybody, to a future show when they got off the ship. And if you were on that cruise and you watched it, you saw something pretty unique that you'll probably never see again. Def Leppard performing without Joe Elliott. Now, that's not the desired thing, but if you're into these sort of weird, cool anomalies in artist history, myself and the people in that room can be among a small group of people to say, we actually saw Def Leppard with Kip Winger singing. We actually saw Def Leppard with Eric Martin singing, because we did. I actually saw Def Leppard with Vivian and Phil singing lead as a four-piece, because they did part of their set like that. Now, again, that was all happened because that was unexpected. This we know now going in. Well, we don't know what it's going to be. But my point is, out of all of this and out of things that can sometimes be viewed as a negative, you still could have a pretty cool experience. And, you know, especially if Dave's on the mend and he's just not ready to sing, he could still be there orchestrating the whole thing. And you could see Megadeth play some Megadeth songs with some guest singers. It'd be really cool. A really cool, unique thing to see. So let's see how it all plays out. And Larry told me that they are going to be announcing more artists as well on board the Mega Cruise. So I think there's probably going to be some more things announced in terms of talent being built in, especially considering that the viability of Dave being able to play, sing, however it plays out is up in the air at the moment. Rest assured that they're going to make sure that this is still a great experience for everybody who is on board or considering buying a cabin. And there are already, like I said, a bunch of great bands still a full go and committed for this thing. And I look forward to it. Above and beyond everything, though, if Dave's working on a record, as he says in this release, he's got to be, hopefully still feeling pretty good and optimistic, and that 90% rate sounds real, real good. So nothing but the best to Dave Mustaine for a quick recovery, sending him our absolute best, we'll keep you posted on what we hear about this situation as information is made available.